I never thought that I'd shoot for a challenge like this, but here it goes. Hi, my name is PlayStacin, and I'm a trophy hunter, which means I strive for 100% trophy completion whenever I play games. In the 4 years that I've been watching trophy hunting videos, I've always been intrigued by the concept of seeing how many platinum trophies I could get in such a short period of time. Thus, the 30 Platinums in 30 Days Challenge. Heavily inspired by... Since I too work a full-time job and have very little time for gaming, I too wondered if I could pull something like this off. For the entire month of April, I played games that I've always wanted to play. I played games that I never wanted to play. And I played games that I have absolutely zero business in playing. But a challenge is a challenge. I kept the rules of this challenge very simple. Rule number 1. Each game I play must start from 0% completion, which means I can't pick up a game that's almost close to completion, which is a shame since I'm only 2 trophies away from platting Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Rule number 2. Absolutely no shovelware. For those who aren't familiar with the term, there are a shit ton of games on the PSN store that you can buy for like $2 that can be platted within 20 minutes or less. I actually have a killer song about these types of games, if you want to check it out. Shameless plug, I know. Rule number 3. Absolutely no use of the auto-pop system. Since this has been the most boring generation of gaming ever, there are a lot of games on the store that have both a PS4 and a PS5 version. So, if I happen to choose a game that I've platinumed before, I must play through the game to completion and not make use of its auto-pop feature. It kind of removes the challenge from the challenge, you know? And yes, technically re-platinuming a game also removes some challenge from the challenge, but I'm pressed for time. What are you gonna do? With all that said, please join me on my platinum journey as I try to take on this challenge whilst also working a full-time job. After a long day of work, I knew I was going to need to start the challenge with something sweet and short. So I decided to play was Venba, which is a cooking simulator that has you cook various Indian dishes in an attempt to connect with your character's heritage and child who is conforming to American society. Or I guess, Canadian society, since the majority of the game takes place in Canada, but you get the idea. The core gameplay has you cook dishes without making a mistake. Narratively, the story is strong, and while I personally can't relate to the characters at hand, I still felt for Venba as she tried to share her culture with her son and not reciprocate. Venba has a total of 16 trophies, with the hardest one being to cook every dish in the game without messing up. Thankfully, chapter select can be utilized when going for this trophy, as I did spend the majority of the game screwing up the recipes. It took me roughly 3 hours and 19 minutes to get platinum number 1, which shot me up with enough adrenaline to start my next game, The Gardens Between. The Gardens Between is another short indie game that has you play as 2 children that are reliving some of their fondest memories through a weird time forwarding, rewinding gameplay mechanic. It's a puzzle game that has you forward and reverse time in order to reach the end of the level, where most of the trophies are earned in the game. I completed 4 chapters before calling it quits, but knew I conquered enough time to get the platinum the following day. Like I said, most of the trophies for the Gardens Between lie at the end of the level, where you complete the final puzzle of the chapter. Some trophies are level specific, but none of them were too challenging. I planned on talking about what I felt was the hardest trophy in the game for each one I do, but this game genuinely doesn't have any difficult trophies. The game has 18 trophies and took me a few hours if I don't include sleep and the full day of work I did in between playtimes. I planned on starting my next game, but my street had a power outage that night, which was God's way of telling me I needed to go to bed. After another long day of working 11 hours of customer service, I was ready to start my next game, Season, A Letter to the Future, which looked to be another short and sweet indie game perfect for the challenge. I earned my first 3 trophies of the game before I realized something awful. The game doesn't have a platinum. 1 hour of playtime wasted. And I knew that I was going to need to go to bed soon since I had work the next day, so I immediately jumped off and booted the next game I was planning on tackling anyway, Indica. Indica can only be described as a weird walking simulator where you play as a nun that nobody likes, who I'm pretty sure is possessed by a demon the whole time. On your journey, you are held hostage by a criminal who's looking to be cleansed by God, while also going through some weird shit. There's a few gameplay sequences that break from the usual mold, but I genuinely found nothing in this game to write home about. The opening chapter of the game has you walk slowly across the map, fetch water from a well 5 times, each time having you crank a bucket down and up the well, bringing it to a barrel just for an NPC to spill the barrel on purpose. This game sucks, and I definitely don't recommend it to anyone who values their time. However, the game is short. Indica has 17 trophies, and I finished it in roughly 4 hours and was able to go to bed on time for another work day. I don't typically work weekends, but my coworker had gone on vacation, so I had to cover their shift. It wasn't that bad, as it was only a 5.5 hour shift. After I got home, I began my next conquest with a game that's pretty popular amongst this challenge: Coffee Talk. Coffee Talk is a text scroller that has you listen to people's stories while making them hot beverages. I wasn't expecting to get entranced by the different characters' lives, but I was intrigued by the world the game's setting was in, as well as the characters. The game has 24 trophies, and most of them are unlocked late in the story after making sure you've made every order correct throughout the story, except for one instance, but I'm not going to dive too deep into it. The longest trophy in the game, Art Takes Time, has you spend 1 hour in game time making latte art, while the hardest trophy in the game has you serve 50 orders back to back under a strict time limit, and requires you to have knowledge of every drink in the game. I managed to platinum this in just under 6 hours. The night was still young, and I felt like I needed to fight for just a little bit longer before going to bed, so I started the next game I planned on playing specifically for this challenge, Nava. Nava is a beautiful indie game that has you platform across vast distances, fighting off shadow demons as they're trying to destroy all life. You know, basic light versus darkness type shit. You, along with your wolf companion, Nava, do all you can to save nature from this mystical threat. The game is fairly simple, and all the trophies derive from collecting various collectibles or performing specific actions in each chapter. I absolutely had a blast playing through this, and it makes me excited to play the prequel that was released last year. Nava has 19 trophies. Unfortunately, I didn't finish the game that night and pushed it to the next day. After completing Nava, I moved on to a classic PS1 title that I always wanted to try out, since playing as him in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, and that game is Twisted Metal, a battle royale between deadly vehicles with clunky controls. Fortunately, the game holds up despite the limited controls. The game has 31 trophies, with the majority of them consisting of completing the game with each character. Thankfully, cheats don't disable trophies, so after completing the story with Sweet Tooth, I used the cheat codes for each character to immediately skip to the final boss of the game, to help get the platinum quicker. I managed to get the platinum within 5 hours and 29 minutes, which gave me plenty of time to start my next game. Thank goodness you're here. It's an absolute gem that I think everybody should play at least once in their life. Fortunately for me, I got to play it twice. The game is said to be a slapformer, since you go throughout the game slapping everybody in sight whilst helping the citizens with their mundane tasks. While this is a fairly short platinum, almost every trophy in the game is missable aside from the story trophies. And if you're not careful, you will miss one and will need to start the game over. That is what happened to me. The trophy that I missed was literally right at the end, which meant I was going to need to do another full playthrough. This game has 33 trophies and roughly took me 6 hours between play sessions. Due to my mistake, I couldn't get the platinum until the next morning.
He's in hospital, unlike what happened?
I took today off because I had a dentist appointment, which meant that I had another full day to get ahead in this challenge. And what better game to do so than one that I am familiar with? Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy. For those who aren't aware, when the PS Classics added it a couple of years ago, they updated the trophy list to have new trophies. Of course, I went and platted the PS5 version, but I've been holding off until this challenge to do the PS4 version. Yes, I know, my first cop out of the challenge, but as long as it doesn't auto-pop, it counts. And thankfully, none of the games in the PlayStation Classics catalog offer auto-pop, so I'm golden. This game offers 26 trophies and can easily be platted in 4 hours. It took me 6 due to me having to stop playing to head to my appointment. But once I got back, I went and finished the job. The hardest trophy in the game is definitely eco slipping, which requires you to break all the green eco boxes when sliding down the tube in the Precursor City. This is easy on the PS5 version since it offers a rewind feature. However, I learned that the PS4 version of PS1 Classics doesn't have the rewind feature, which means I had to be precise with my jumps and strategic with my positioning. The most creative trophy of this game is definitely Daxter's Performance, which requires you to travel to the end of the level with 12 jumps or less. This takes planning and knowledge of the layout of Geyser Rock. 6 hours later, I began the next game. Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus also has a PS4 version of the trophy list, which I saved specifically for a challenge video. And this was the one to be. This game offers 37 trophies and took me 7 hours to complete. Most of the trophies are dedicated to completing the story and unlocking all the vaults throughout the game. However, a lot of the trophies are miscellaneous and have to do with doing something random within the levels. For example, during the level The Lair of the Beast, you must jump over every candle throughout the level without destroying them. This is especially tricky when being chased by the giant snake at the end of the level. I would also classify this as the hardest trophy in the game. I'm gonna be honest, with only 6 days in and already at 9 platinums, I was feeling confident in this challenge. Being 4 days ahead of the curve was really going to give me a winning. Yeah, 4 days without a platinum trophy. That's what I get for being confident. Anyways, Sword of the Sea was my next game, because I was intrigued by the concept of surfing on a sword across vast open landscapes, and I was not disappointed in the slightest. This game is by far one of the best looking games on the PlayStation 5, and with it being so simple, transforming a vast desert into a beautiful ocean landscape was just so breathtaking. The reason why it took so long to finish was the huge amount of collectibles scattered throughout the game. The developers really took their time hiding every single mysterious shell throughout the levels that you would think they placed them in areas a player would only go to if they were trying to break the game. This game has 48 trophies, and every trophy requires a bit of time and effort to achieve. There are several collectible trophies, some trophies for riding on specific sea creatures, and of course, the hardest trophy in the game, Untouchable, which you get for defeating the final boss without taking damage. Since the entire game didn't have any boss fights or enemies to begin with, I didn't expect the final boss to give me so much grief. I spent 4 hours trying to master this fight, which is the reason why it took me so long to even get the platinum. I didn't struggle with the speedrun trophy, nor did I sweat about beating my high score. It was simply mastering this fight, and it didn't help that I couldn't skip cutscenes. Either way, I was glad to have finally finished this game, despite losing my winning streak. It was here where I was going to need to lock in. Thankfully, it was the weekend, and I was able to dedicate myself to catching back up. I didn't plan on doing this, as I thought I had some self-respect, but I needed to get ahead of the curve. And what better way to do so than playing games that weren't made for my demographic. Yep, Bluey the video game. Look, I'm not proud of it, but it is what it is. Shockingly enough, this game is put together pretty well and is something that I probably would let my kids play. The main premise of the game is to play games with your family and collect stickers for your sticker book. All the trophies are connected to this mechanic and don't require much effort. The game has 23 trophies, and there isn't a single difficult trophy in the game. Just make sure you're watering every unique plant you come across, or you'll have to waste 20 minutes or so looking for them throughout the different locations like I did. Not that there are a lot of different locations. Bluey wasn't the only kid game I succumbed to for this challenge. In fact, there are quite a few more that I subjected myself to for the sake of this challenge that you'll see later on. But for now, my next game was Paw Patrol World. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, I kinda like this one. It kinda works like an open world game that takes place in the Paw Patrol world. There's side quests scattered around the different hub worlds, there's collectibles hidden in each hub, and the hubs themselves are pretty big. If I had grown up on Paw Patrol, this would probably be the ideal game to play as a Paw Patrol fan. It even has accessibility features that actually help speed up the game. Instead of manually having to switch characters, you can set it to auto-change to the character you need for a specific mission or challenge. Anyways, this game has a total of 22 trophies and scored the platinum within 6 hours. After a short walk, I immediately jumped into the next game, and no, it's not a baby game. In fact, it was another indie game made by the people that made Nava, Gris? I don't know how to pronounce it. And I really don't know how to describe the game without saying that it has a fantastic art direction and definitely needs to be played. It almost feels like a water painting come to life. Each chapter is dedicated to a specific color, and with that color comes a new game mechanic. There isn't any combat, and all the trophies are mostly collectible based, or performing a specific action in a specific chapter, similar to Nava. The game has 18 trophies, and the hardest trophy in the game, for me anyway, was Eel, which has you avoid getting bitten by a giant eel. Anyways, I platinumed the game within 4 hours and 5 minutes. Hell yeah. You would think with earning 3 platinums in one day, I'd be set to go to bed, and you'd be wrong, cause I was gonna shoot for one more. And what better game to do so than with Crow Country. This indie horror game, which looked to be heavily inspired by the classic Resident Evil games. If there's anything this game absolutely nails, it's atmosphere. Every time you enter a room, more creepy entities appear to make navigation tougher, and with objects hidden behind puzzles that require solving puzzles in other areas, it's absolutely sick. This game has a total of 16 trophies, with the hardest trophy requiring you to get S rank. To achieve S rank, you must collect at least 14 out of the 15 secrets and complete the game with 8 heals or less. Unfortunately for me, I had to play through the game twice since on my first playthrough, I had healed 11 times. I also wasn't able to get the platinum that night, so I went for it the following day for a quick playthrough. With everything still in memory, I knew it wasn't going to be a problem. After cleaning up Crow Country, I instantly began my next platinum conquest, Lake. And unfortunately, it is the only game that I played today. I was feeling mildly burned out from playing non-stop the day before, and wanted to check out the new Malcolm in the Middle reunion special. Still, I didn't let it completely stop me from finishing the game today. Lake has you play as a temporary mailman, or mailwoman, where the core gameplay loop is, you guessed it, delivering mail and packages. Honestly, it's close to home to what I actually do for a living. It's not the most interesting game in the world, but it wasn't that bad either, if that makes sense. All the trophies just have you play through the story and experience the 3 different endings the game has to offer. It has a total of 12 trophies and took me roughly 8 hours to finish. It's a pretty boring game, but if driving around beautiful scenery, delivering mail is your thing, then Lake is the game for you. For those who aren't paying attention, it is April 12th. And I'm already halfway through the challenge with a total of 15 platinums so far. I'm technically 3 plats ahead, and I'm beginning to feel good about myself. Except, I wasn't. Little did I know that I was beginning to develop a sickness that would keep me away from both work and having fun. Yeah, I got sick, and I didn't want to do anything. I had missed 4 days of work, and whenever I did feel like playing, it was short-lived. Plus, the game I had chosen to start the next half of the bracket was LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean via the PlayStation Plus streaming. With that said, I wasn't unable to capture any trophies for this game, which is kinda lame. Sony should really fix that. Anyways, LEGO Pirates consists of 41 trophies and serves as usual LEGO game fodder. All the trophies are dedicated to finding all the collectibles and achieving 100% game completion. There were some trophies that were unique, like dying by the Kraken 10 times, or shooting 100 cannonballs. Shooting 100 cannonballs. The cannonballs are in this game, but there is no trophy for shooting 100 of them. But nothing was too challenging. This was by far the longest game I played in the challenge, and it didn't help that I could barely breathe while playing. Still, it was fun playing a normal LEGO game for once. The last one I played was LEGO Horizon, and that game sucked tremendously. Anyways, I got the platinum today and immediately started the next game to try and catch up after the massive amount of time lost. WALL-E. WALL-E was the next game on the docket, and was a game from my childhood that I never beat. I don't know why, but I never beat this game as a kid, either due to just losing interest, or maybe I found something just too difficult. I couldn't tell you. What I can tell you is that this was the first game I chose for this challenge, but intentionally saved for when I hit the 15 mark. WALL-E is a collectathon platformer that has you search for Earth relics while completing sequences from the movie. The game has 21 trophies, and a lot of them are actually dedicated to the minigames, which are time constrained. There's a trophy where you need to complete every minigame in the game within 8 minutes, which is crazy for a Disney game. Yo, PlayStation, when are you gonna port Finding Nemo and Cars to the catalog? I'm down. Time for embarrassing game number 3 that I'm sort of ashamed of for playing, and that is PJ Masks' Heroes of the Night, which is based on another children's show. It's the baby's first platformer, where all you have to do is collect all the tokens in every level and collect all masks in every level. Yeah, I'm not doing that. The story has you play as the 3 main characters stopping the same 4 villains over and over again. The game has 12 trophies, and can I just say, what is the lore of this show? Like, I don't get it. How did these kids get powers? Why are they trying to go to bed during one of the missions when they're nighttime-based superheroes? Someone give me the answer. Oh, and I earned the platinum within 3 hours and 45 minutes. Ding! Call of the Sea was next, and was one of the more intriguing games on the list that I shortly lost interest in the more I kept playing. Think of a more colorful Tomb Raider with all the cool set pieces. Don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful game. It's another walking simulator that rewards exploring and backtracking. The game has 35 trophies, and most of them are miscellaneous and easily missable. It took me roughly 3 hours and 22 minutes to complete. Thankfully, I didn't miss anything. Shortly after, I decided I was going to go from the beautiful islands to the lost frontier of space with Deliver Us the Moon. This game is featured in a lot of videos for this challenge, and as much as I wanted to avoid it, I installed it and got her done. The game has you explore what happened on the moon when suddenly everyone up there disappeared. Throughout the game, you fix various things and solve various puzzles. A lot of puzzle games in the challenge. The game has 33 trophies, and by far the hardest trophy in the game is Not a Scratch. You must get through this corridor without getting blasted by the sphere thingy, and the timing has to be perfect. The most annoying trophy was having to carry a battery throughout a chapter just to have it crushed via a giant satellite tower. I don't know how I truly feel about this game. I mean, I didn't hate it, but I probably wouldn't have tried it if it weren't for this challenge. I didn't finish the game during this day, but made sure to get it the very next one. Nine days left, 10 games left. I was running out of options and needed to make sure I earned at least 1 platinum a day if I were going to nail this challenge. With that said, I decided to return to a franchise from earlier in the video with Twisted Metal 2, and I was happy to see that the game played almost identically to the first one. This time, however, the levels are based around the world. The trophy list is almost identical to the first game, i.e. beat the story with every character in the game, find a miscellaneous objective in each level, and not get a specific kill with a specific weapon. However, I found the final boss of this game to be much more difficult than Minion from the first game. I had never been so grateful for the PlayStation 1 rewind feature, as having to backtrack all the way to the final boss would be disheartening. Just like with the first game, I completed the story normally, then used cheat codes to fast track myself to the final boss with the other characters. The game has 30 trophies and roughly took 5 hours for me to complete. Today was another day I took off for a dental appointment, which meant between appointment times, I had time to play. So I immediately jumped into Twisted Metal 3. This go around, it seemed like the trophy list was going to take less time, since I no longer had to beat the game with every character. Instead, I had to beat the game with 5 different vehicles. However, while the gameplay loop remains the same, the controls on how to play were completely switched around, which caught me off guard. Another thing that I couldn't really abuse was the cheat code system. While I was able to use them to get the complete the tournament with 5 vehicles trophy, I wasn't able to use them to get the other trophies, or even complete the tournament once trophy. The tournament also bugged out on me that when I did complete the story legitly, it told me that I had beaten the game with a partner and didn't grant me the trophy, which I found odd since I was playing solo. A game that PSN profiles assured me would take 5 hours took me 8, which rubbed me the wrong way. The game has 21 trophies and is the last Twisted Metal game that you'll see in this video. Gameplay wise, this was definitely the smoothest of the 3, which is good, because it's the 3rd installment. Twisted Metal 3 wasn't the only game I went for today, as I had one more game that I've been holding on for quite a long time. You know it, I know it, everyone knows it. What Remains of Edith Finch. To my knowledge, the PS5 version of the game is the only version to feature a platinum trophy. And while I told myself that I was going to get around to this game eventually, I just never did. Too many people have covered it to the point where every bit of it has been spoiled for me. But actually playing it for the first time didn't prepare me for what I was about to be feeling. This game has you go throughout the different deaths of every member of the Finch family, and with each death comes a new gameplay mechanic. It's a very short, somber game, but it'll have you feeling so many things from beginning to end. The game has 12 trophies, and took me 1 hour and 54 minutes to complete. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, mutants in a half shell, turtle power. Well, cowabunga, my dudes. It's time to play through the TMNT Cowabunga collection, which has you play through several different games from the arcade Atari era of gaming. So, 100 years ago. Now I know what you're already thinking, and yes, I did take advantage of the watch mode glitch, to where you can fast forward to the final boss of the game and still get the trophy for completing the game. But I will have you know that I had to play the tournament games legit. Yeah, there are 14 trophies in the game, 1 for beating each game, and for 11 of them, you can pretty much get done within a half hour or so. However, with the tournament games, you need to get through the story legit in order to unlock the true final boss, Karai, aka the Shredder's daughter.
I brought back some takeout, so let's get down and pig out.
It's Shredder!
Where?
This is probably the only game I feel sheepish about, but it isn't shovelware, which makes it a fair platinum. I did go back and play some of the arcade games just to wash up the guilt. You get it. Day 25. It's the final weekend of the challenge, which meant I needed to lock in. With 6 platinums left to go, and only 5 days left, I was going to have to do whatever it takes to beat this challenge, which meant I was going to need to summon my inner child. That's right. Back to Paw Patrol. Paw Patrol the movie, Adventure City Calls, aka the Paw Patrol movie game. This was vastly different than the previously played Paw Patrol world, as it was a more linear experience. something similar to PJ Masks' Heroes of the Night. Each level had you collect 3 badges and collect all the level's pup treats. Every level had a vehicle section. Now that I think about it, it's the exact same game, except this one has minigames, which were more fun and engaging than the base game, which is sad. Another weird thing is that none of the puppies talk in this game. They only had the kid talk, which is weird for a game about Paw Patrol. It pissed me off, kind of. You know, like, imagine being a child, you're excited to play as your favorite puppies, your favorite characters, and they don't even speak? They don't even bark! What the fuck? The game features 30 trophies, and I got it done within a few hours. First we were down, but now we're up. Up is the next game. I went with another Pixar game that I've never played before, and was shocked to see just how well it was put together. It honestly felt like a combination of Uncharted and Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. Just like with WALL-E, the game has you play through the movie's story, but with interesting gameplay puzzles and collectibles scattered around. The majority of the trophies are linked to this. However, you do not need to find every single collectible in the game. Just 100 of each collectible in the game. The boss fights are creative, and the only levels that I really had a problem with were the river rapid levels that have you canoe up some rapids while avoiding crocodiles and monkeys. The game features 21 trophies, and roughly took me 10 hours to complete. Next we have Pumpkin Jack, which is heavily inspired by the Medieval franchise and is one of the best looking indie platformer games that I've ever played. I mean, it is up there with A Hat in Time, and if I'm being honest, it looks better than the actual Medieval remake from 2018. Anyways, the game has you fight and platform your way through monsters alike while playing fun minigames and fighting epic bosses throughout each chapter. The game features 33 trophies and consists of mostly story trophies and collecting all the collectibles in the game. The jokes are funny, the gameplay loop is consistent and fun, and is overall a great time. I highly recommend this game to everyone. Please give it a try. My friend Peppa Pig. That's all I'm gonna say. You could argue with me that this is a shovelware game, as the game only takes about an hour to platinum, and that there isn't much gameplay. However, it did take me an hour and 41 minutes, which means I had to dedicate what little sanity I had left into completing the game, and listening to the obnoxious atrocities that this game has to offer. You can't even skip dialogue, and all the story bits specifically connected to trophies are RNG, and may take a bit for the game to activate. Anything for the challenge, right? The game has 12 trophies. Yeah. Paw Patrol, they'll be there on the double or something. So here we are on my third Paw Patrol game this challenge, and at this point, I know all their names, I know their gimmicks, I know that this fucker is a real piece of shit. I feel like I'm ready to have a kid, because I am prepared with all the knowledge I will ever need to survive a conversation about this show. Paw Patrol Mighty Pup Save Adventure Bay is the predecessor to the previously mentioned Paw Patrol movie Adventure City Calls, and it shows, as this was probably the worst performing game that I played in this challenge. Like, it just wasn't optimized properly, because I was getting some serious stuttering while playing. Also, another thing, apparently this meteor gives them superpowers, I guess. But like, all it did was upgrade their suits. Like, you could have told me that Tony Stark just upgraded the Paw Patrol gear, and I would have believed you. Yeah, Ryder, I upgraded your dogs, so now that the fat one can carry large rocks, and that one can actually fly. You're welcome. The game has 31 trophies, and the trophy list is almost identical to the Paw Patrol movie game, which is another case on how I know this game came first. That, and I looked it up, and the dogs still don't fucking talk! This is now two Paw Patrol games where the Paw Patrol characters do not speak, except for the fucker kid. That's it! What the fuck? Come on, dude. Guys, Outright Games, what are you doing? Like, be better. Be Paw Patrol World. Come on, dog. We are officially on day 26 out of 30, and am now sitting at 29 platinums. You're probably wondering, what's left? Did I challenge myself further and play a game that would take a few days to plat? Or did I play another kid game that I have no business in playing? How about neither? Life is Strange Before the Storm Remastered. This was it, people. All I had to do is beat the story and find every single collectible graffiti tag, and this challenge would be won with 4 days to spare. I felt the light at the end of the tunnel, which was great. I felt so many emotions going through this challenge, from being confident, to lacking confidence, to getting sick, to getting confident again, to absolutely locking in on the final weekend of the challenge. I enjoyed the Life is Strange series, except 2. I don't care for 2. But saving this game for last felt poetic to me, especially since the last platinum I got before starting this challenge was Reunion, which came out this year. Seeing where Chloe started to how she ends up is quite interesting, and I'm glad I saved this for last, as I originally planned on doing this like 20 platinums ago. But with time keeping on going, and me getting sick, I needed a confident final platinum. I spent the entire day playing this game, constantly switching between this and other life things because I was that confident. Within 8 hours, Platinum 30 was mine. Bring on the storm. I was finished with 4 days left on the calendar. I felt proud of myself, even though a good chunk of them were games I never once thought about installing. I looked at my wife with pride, and you know what she told me? You should platinum another Paw Patrol game. You know, Paw Patrol Grand Prix is just sitting right there, you know. You need a victory lap. Of course I said no. Paw Patrol Grand Prix is a racing game that takes 10 hours to platinum and requires you to play through the adventure mode with every single character in the game. The adventure mode consists of 17 tracks, which meant I needed to race 170 races in the game. One of the trophies required me to win an adventure mode playthrough while taking first place in every single race, which you would probably think is easy, because it's a baby game. But this game gets chaotic. Like, these dogs got that dog in them. There were many instances where I was about to cross the finish line, and then I'll be slowed down by another racer, and they pass me at the last millisecond. Like, it was crazy. I'm telling you, only me, right? So yeah, I did it. I had my victory lap. I started this challenge on April 1st. And completed this challenge on April 26th, and got one more platinum on April 29th, thus earning 244 bronze trophies, 261 silver trophies, 221 gold trophies, 31 platinums, and 757 trophies in total. Just wow. Let me preface this by saying this challenge is absolutely possible on a working schedule. In fact, I believe I could have gotten more if I hadn't already platinumed great games specifically used for a challenge for this. Like the Cat Quest trilogy, the Toy Story games, the SpongeBob games, Maneater, Astrobot, Donut County, and so forth. If I hadn't already finished those games before, then I bet I could have finished this challenge way earlier than expected. I'm almost curious enough to start a fresh profile and see. Anyways, that's gonna cut it for this video. I'm now 20 platinums away from hitting 400 platinums, which makes me want to do 100 plats in a 100 days challenge next. I know that's absolutely crazy, especially with my work schedule, but who knows? Maybe I can do it. I'll just have to find a lot more kid games. I hope you all have a sumptuous day until our next communion. Also, in case you're wondering, it ranks Mighty Pups, Adventure City Calls, Grand Prix, then Paw Patrol World. That's the official Paw Patrol ranking. See you later.